What up, guys? Blunt Guts here. This is a Watcher of Realms video. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel. I truly appreciate it. I got Malrik up on the screen right now, but you may have mistaken him for a wizard straight out of Lord of the Rings. Is this Gandalf the Grey? Is this Radagast the Red? Maybe it's Saruman the Many-Colored, based on the fluorescent underweave of his hat and his cloak and all of that. I don't know, man. I just like to think of him as the disco wizard. He's all business on the outside, but he's got a little party to him underneath, if you know what I mean. So, very cool hero, smoking his pipe. He's got his sword. This is like a Hex level ripoff of IP, as far as I'm concerned. But, you know. I grew up on Tolkien, so I'm not complaining by any means. Very cool looking hero, and honestly, I think this is the hero that I am the most excited about as far as this crop of new heroes that is being released in the next few weeks. So Malrik is very, very cool, and I think he is going to be very, very good. Let's take a look at his stats right here. He is kind of a dual purpose, dual function mage. He can be both single target and AoE depending on the way you deploy him, but I will get to that in a second. Let's talk about his base stats here. His attack range is a bit bigger than what you normally see on a single target mage. Typically it's a 3x3 square with one more tile in the center directly in front of the hero. Not the case here. He's got more of a single target marksman range, which is a 3x4 tile range. Very cool. I like having that extra range. It does come into play quite often, I find, in the game. So really cool to see that. As far as his base HP, 10,822. Not too high, not too low. Pretty standard for a legendary hero. His base attack is 4,683. It's pretty average for a mage. Nothing really stands out there. There are a few mages that have over 5,000. I think that Ingrid is the only mage that does have over 6,000, but I might be wrong about that. I might be forgetting somebody. Magic resist is relatively high, which is nice to see. Cost is 19. That is important to note. Pretty standard for a mage. 2.6 second attack interval. Pretty standard. And then all the rest of this is nothing to write home about. But you can see the tags that they have given him. Single target attack, multi-target attack, ally buff, and hard control. One thing I did not mention, he is a dual faction hero, both an Infernal and an Esotericist faction membership, which is nice to see. Infernal is, of course, very in vogue right now on Abyss 1, and I do think he is going to be a hero that is going to be quite good at Abyss 1. I don't have a copy of him to actually do some testing, so I'm just going to go through his kit, and then I'll put out some testing videos later so we can clarify some of the questions that I do have about him. So the talent reads, the hero gains 20% damage increase. Cool. Flat 20% damage. That's awesome. Grants Wizard's Rune to the next hero deployed in attack range. Wizard's Rune is a unique thing. It increases attack, defense, and HP of the rune bearer by 10%. So this is going to beef up the next unit that is deployed in his attack range. I assume it's in his attack range. Now, historically, when they say in attack range, it is not always meant in the hero's attack range. So we'll have to test this out and see exactly what the range is. But for now, let's just assume that it is in this standard 3x4 attack range that he does seem to have. Either way, though, the important thing here is that this effect can stack with other effects. That is amazing. This does mean that it will stack with an Invigoration buff or a Wings of Grace buff. You can have another buff and this one, and they will both stack. The lower buff will not be superseded by the higher buff, which is how buffs currently do work in this game. So really cool to see that, one, that they told us that. It's nice that they're updating the tooltips that way. But two, it is really, really cool that this is going to have some added functionality and is going to be extra damage on top of what we can already provide. So, or I should say, I said extra damage. You could use this on a tank and make them super beefy as well. And this is, again, post-deployment. So this is going to be a flat 10% increase to whatever the final attack, defense, and HP values are for the hero that is affected. Very, very cool. This effect can be triggered one time per deployment. Again, this is another thing we're going to have to check out. Does that mean one time when he's placed, or does that mean one time per match when he is brought along with the team? I tend to think it's probably the latter, but we'll have to wait and see exactly how that works out. The way that they use the word deployment is not always consistent in this game, which is why I do have that question. So we'll have to see exactly how that manifests in game. When Wizard's Rune is granted to an allied platform hero, Malrik's Fire form will be replaced with his Frost form. So the Fire form is what you will get if you apply the Wizard's Rune to a ground-based unit or to no unit. That is his single target damage form. It is single target magic damage. And then his Frost form is his AoE form. And also a bit of crowd control as well without getting ahead of myself. Single target and AoE versatility. Now, the one thing I will say is that it is slightly limiting, right? Because if you do want to use him in a single target way, then you are necessarily going to have to either apply his bonus to a ground unit or not apply it to anybody. So we're going to have a decision to make as far as that's concerned. You're not always going to be able to use this in exactly the way that you want. Still, very, very cool, and I'm not complaining, but something that we should definitely keep in mind as we're thinking about the usability of this hero. His basic attack deals 100% damage one time to one enemy in range. It's going to go up to 120% when he is fully skilled up. The ultimate does have a 700 rage cost, 400 initial rage, 20-second duration when fully skilled up. When the ultimate is activated, it increases the hero's attack by 30% for, I assume, 20 seconds. During this time, transforms the hero's basic attack into Fireball or Blizzard. So Fireball deals 80% damage to one enemy in range 3 times and inflicts burning. So I assume that goes up to 100% based on this plus 20% damage we should be getting from the skill ups. And it's going to inflict burning every time too. So that's really cool. Now, I'm wondering, will each strike inflict burning? So is that 3 burnings or just 1? Another thing that we should probably check out, when he is in his frost form, this is going to change into deals, again, I'm assuming here, but 140% AoE damage, one time to up to 5 enemies in range, and inflicts Winter's Bite. So another Winter's Bite hero here, along with Lynx, along with Honora, along with Ymir, and I believe there's somebody else that I am missing that I feel like there was somebody else that had it recently, but maybe I'm just thinking of Lynx. I am not sure. You can sound off in the comments. Let me know if I am missing anybody that does apply Winter's Bite. So a cool ultimate, that 30% attack increase is huge. That's going to be a lot of damage. It's kind of customized based on the role that he is filling, depending on how you did place that Wizard's Rune. Elemental Covenant is his passive while in the same form. Every 5 basic attacks triggers Fire Blast or Ice Storm one time. So he is going to get essentially like an Ingrid style attack here. Every 5th attack, he is going to trigger one of these different attacks based on the form that he is, whether it's fire or ice. So when fully skilled up, Fire Blast is going to deal 400% damage one time to one enemy in range and inflict burning. So very, very cool. This is essentially going to be, what if his base is 120% damage? He's essentially going to do 3.5 times damage every 5th attack, which is nice. And he's going to inflict that burning. Ice Storm deals, when fully skilled up, 45% AoE damage one time per second to the target and 5 surrounding enemies for 4 seconds. So 4 strikes of 45% is going to be 180% AoE damage, and there's going to be a 50% chance to inflict Winter's Bite. I'm assuming per strike, but we don't know. Per strike would be awesome because you'd likely end up with at least some of the units getting frozen. Adds an element of randomness into GVG and things like that. His final passive, Rune Mastery, when casting the ultimate, restores 10% rage when fully skilled up to heroes granted with Wizard's Rune and permanently increases the hero's attack by 5%. This attack increase can be gained up to 5 times for each battle, so you can go up to 25% attack increase, which again, really, really big, especially in longer fights. If no one is granted with runes, hero restores an extra 5% rage for the hero. I assume that rage regen increase from the skill ups does apply to the rage that he gains himself too, so it should be 10% for himself. Yeah, really cool. Really, really cool. I love that, especially because it accounts for the fact that you might not want to apply the rune to anybody if you need to keep him in the fire form, but you don't want to apply it to a ground unit. So yeah, very, very cool. I love that. I love this hero, honestly. I feel like this kit in general is just, it's the right amount of complexity, but simplicity as well. You got attack increase. You've got a hero that can fill multiple roles, can do multiple different things, where you do have to think about exactly how you're going to deploy him, who you're going to target with this Wizard's Rune, and a hero that I think is going to be flexible enough, assuming he does enough damage anyway, to be used in multiple different areas of the game, which is just wonderful. Love to see it. So let's take a quick look at his awakenings here, and oh god, look at these blocks of text. This is going to be interesting. My head's already hurting here. The A1 enhances his Elemental Covenant, which is the passive that does provide an enhanced attack every 5th basic attack that he does do. So it reads, Elemental Covenant is enhanced. Fire Blast deals 60% extra increased damage and inflicts vulnerability magic damage. Now, I assume this 60% is additive, not multiplicative, so it should mean that Fire Blast goes up to, I believe it's 400% when fully skilled up, should go up to 460%, which is still a pretty decent bump. That's a 15% bump to the damage of that. That's not bad at all. And the vulnerability magic damage is 10% extra magic damage. So it's little vulnerability. It's not a big like 20 or 25% like we do see on like Volca or on the Infernal Lords, but still it is something. And it's something that's going to be able to be up relatively consistently too, because he should be able to churn through this relatively quickly. You should be getting this every 7 or 8 seconds or so. It should be applied. There's no duration provided here. We'll have to check that in game, see exactly how long this is, but you should have pretty decent uptime on it, which is really, really nice. When he is in his ice form, Ice Storm inflicts freeze on enemies. Again, no duration here, so it's hard to say exactly how good this is, but freeze is awesome. Reduces the damage interval by 0.3 seconds, so it should go off every 0.7 seconds. So if you do the math on that, you should get an extra 1 or 2 pulses of this damage, depending on how they do the math. At the very least, you're getting 1 extra pulse of damage for getting this awakening. And then on top of that, you are going to increase the chance to inflict Winter's Bite from 50% up to 70%, which I think is going to make it far more likely that you're going to get multiple freezes on that every time you do get that. He's going to be a crowd control beast, I think. And if he does decent damage at all in his Frost form, ooh, baby. And he should pair quite well with Anora and Ymira because he is an Esotericist. So if you got a Cyrus, get ready. Or hell, the new Esotericist Lord. Ooh, baby. This could be fun. This could be fun. We'll have to see. We don't know anything about the new Esotericist Lord. I know a lot of people are excited about them, but we'll have to wait and see exactly how that manifests in game. So going back to the Awakenings here. That was a doozy on the A1. Hopefully the rest of them are not so verbose. The A2, plus 300 attack, base attack, that is awesome. Brings him up close to 5,000 base attack, which is a great spot to be in for a mage. A3 increases speed boost gain from attack speed by 20%. This is awesome. Increases rage regen, not just the damage increase that you get every 5th attack from his passive, but also all of those other bonuses I was just talking about on the A1, meaning the freezes, the increased winter bite, the vulnerability magic damage. All of that is going to come into play more so because you are getting an extra 20% attack speed essentially from the attack speed set, which is really, really cool. I love that. This hero, I gotta say, again, if he does decent damage, he is going to be really, really good because these Awakenings are all phenomenal. The A4, 8% penetration, gotta love that. And then the A5, the hero gains an extra 10% damage increase. Cool. That's pretty simple, right? 10% extra damage when either the hero or a hero granted with Wizard's Rune dies applies Wizard's Incantation on them, which prevents death 1 time when the carrier takes fatal damage, dispels all debuffs on them, and restores 50% of their max HP. So think of yet another way, a la, say, like Wukong, when he uses his monkey business buff, another way to prevent fatal damage, further adding to the idea that this guy is going to be really good, or could potentially be really good in GVG. Again, subject to testing. We got to see how the damage is before we can make any kind of determination on that. I do love that they added a damage increase on here rather than it just being a utility A5. The damage increase, an extra 10% damage, is not overpowered, but when you consider it is that in addition to the utility provided by this Wizard's Incantation thing, ooh, yeah, that's a hero that I want on my squad and one that I want to chase. So, yeah, awesome job. Awesome job. I love the way that this hero looks. Again, I want to test him before I make any determination on it, but I love the design. I am a Tolkien fanboy, and I have been since my dad used to read it to me when I was a little kid as a bedtime story. But I love the look. I love the staff. I love the sword. I mean, let's be honest. This dude is Gandalf down to like. There's no question about it. The only thing that doesn't make sense is his robes, but they got to avoid being sued somehow, probably, right? So. In any case, I do think this is a really cool hero. I think that we have a real lack of strong single-target mages in the game, and I think this guy's going to be really good. The fact that he is Infernal and Esotericist should give him a lot of versatility in the areas that he can be deployed, not to mention his dual roles as both Fire and Frost single-target and OA. Just awesome. Nicely done. Can't wait to test him. Very cool hero. Very excited. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I do appreciate it. Do you agree with me? You excited about this hero? I can't wait for him. Sound off in the comments or hop on my Discord. I will have a link in the description of this video and talk with me directly about what you think about this. Let me know what you want to see tested on this hero because I will be doing testing over the next couple of days. I want to crowdsource as many questions as I possibly can about this guy so that I can answer all of your questions and produce the best content possible. So thank you all so much for tuning in. Please do click that thumbs up button. Please do subscribe if you do enjoy my content, and I will catch you all next time.